Growing vegetables today brings the sorrow of throwing vegetables away tomorrow. They are a transitory wealth. I've watched a lot of vegetables rot as I've learned how to cure and store them. But waste not, want not, we can always make our pigs happy with the rotten vegetables. Garlic is one of the first big crops that we pull out of the field to store. I leave it in the sun to dry for just a few hours, and then we gently pick it up and put it on the back of the pickup truck and bring it up into the barn and lay it out on some hay. Sorting is a big part of storing vegetables. So we go through them and we'll pull out the real nice ones and then put them aside, and then ones that have something wrong with them, like we hit them with the fork or they split apart, those will be seconds that we'll use up first. Some of the seconds garlic gets dried in a dehydrator to make garlic powder, and then a lot of it gets put into our pesto. Ones that don't have anything wrong with them, those are the ones we'll save for a long-term storage. Oftentimes we just simply bundle them up, a couple dozen to a bundle, and tie them up and just hang them up somewhere to cure out a little bit more. They seem to cure better with the stems on them than with the stems off. Onions are another crop that needs to come in out of the field after only a few hours in the sun. Both onions and garlic have sheaths around them that are their actual leaves. So the outer sheath of the onion was a leaf. So we want to harvest our onions and garlic while there's still a few green leaves, because that means it will have an intact sheath all the way around the bulb. So we bring the onions in and lay them out on hay also. So an onion, if it's laying directly on the wood, will get a little flat spot on it, and that will start to go bad. So we put them on hay that gives additional airflow underneath, and it keeps them on something soft. We found that the ones with the smallest necks keep the best. So we'll pick those off and put them to the side so they'll store for the longest. We store our onions in bushel baskets or in the netted onion sacks, or we'll braid them because it's just nice to have a hanging braid of onions in the kitchen where you can pull one off every now and then for a really delicious addition to your meal. Potatoes love to be underground. We dig them and let them dry in the field for a few hours, but then we put them in baskets and get them down into our underground root cellar as soon as we can. They must be stored in the dark, otherwise they'll get little green spots on them. So we bring them down in here, and then within the week we have to sort them. Potatoes will go bad, and if one goes bad, then the other ones that it's touching will go bad. We particularly have to be mindful of the little stem end. That's one side of a potato has lots of eyes, and the other is where the stem connected to the plant. And they'll get a rot right there sometimes. It'll make them hollow in the inside. So we're looking for that. And we just simply pour the potatoes from one basket to another, and sort of just keeping our eyes on them and look for wet spots. See, here's a bad potato right here. See that right there? That is a bad potato. So that has to come out. And then we just keep sorting, and yeah, they're in pretty good shape. But you can see how if you have one bad potato, it'd make the other ones, go bad too. Once the potatoes are stabilized, they'll keep down here until next year's new potatoes come in. Our best potato storage area is our cave. It has constant moisture and a steady, cool temperature. Winter squash are planted in the summer or late spring and harvested in late summer or early fall. Their name comes from the ease in which they store over the winter. So we grow 4 different kinds of winter squash this year. We have the spaghetti squash. This is a small one called Small Wonder. It's a good spaghetti squash. And then these are acorn squashes, and these are delicata squash. Now all of these squashes are in the Peppo species, and they don't store for much over 4 months or so. So we have to go through these baskets routinely and pull out bad squashes, similar to what we do with the potatoes, but we can't just pour them because they have these sharp ends where we've cut them, and we don't want them to poke each other because that'll make a bad spot. We can tell winter squash are ripe once the background color gets a little duller. With the butternuts, it's a tan color. So these butternuts then will keep all year long. If we just keep an eye on them, make sure they're not bruised or having any bad spots. I actually kept one of these on my mantle in my house for 2 years before it got soft. So butternuts are definitely the best keepers. A rainy season will exasperate the keeping qualities of most crops, and also just having the crop be full of weeds somehow makes the crop not store as well. Especially when with onions and garlic, it seems like if I can keep the field totally free of weeds, they keep better. Many vegetables keep best canned up in jars. We put up lots of tomatoes and beets and cucumbers and green beans and store them in our underground cellar. Still, the wealth of stored vegetables does have a time limit. However, with all the spaces we have on the farm for storing our vegetables, the barn loft, the cellar, outbuilding, the basement, the caves, we're able to keep our vegetables well beyond the harvest.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.